Hello people, welcome back to the podcast. Now, things are a-changing around here. I'm in the process of building a wee studio next to this one, and I'm going to do some more sort of solo episodes. So you're going to be hearing a lot of me. You're going to be losing a lot of brain cells over the next few weeks to my regular listeners. But after a wee bit of brainstorming, I've came up with a solution that's going to make things a wee bit more fun around here, because I made a podcast last week about how I was getting burnt out and that, and I was just like, do you know what? I just need to stop caring so much about, impacting the industry, because I can't, because it's fucking madness. So rather than do that, I'm going to use maybe some other talent that I have, which is maybe coming at things from a bit more of a humorous angle, because, using that old saying, if you'll not laugh, you'll cry. So with that being said, I don't have this set up yet. I want to basically be able to bring stuff up on my laptop. Now that's going to take me a few weeks to figure out. I also need to do a wee bit of DIY to the studio, and I can't even put together a cupboard from IKEA. It genuinely would be the closest thing to giving me a panic attack I think I can imagine. Having to do that with my mother would be the closest thing that would make me have a panic attack. I think that would do it, actually. I've not had a panic attack before. I've had anxiety before. Panic attack, I think, there we go. I think we've figured out, if I ever want to see what it feels like, just set that up, probably as a surprise. That sounds even worse. Don't let me know what's happening. Then that'll tip me. That'll do it. So I actually want to sort of do it live. I don't want to watch things too much, or like do too much research for it. I want to be more off the cuff with these and just see what madness comes out of my brain. So this week, right, there's some topics that I want to talk about, and I'm just going to choose them from random, and then I might have to look at my phone and watch it whilst maybe having it close to the mic, because I don't know how to do this yet. But the first topic that and by the way, the rest of the podcast, still out every Tuesday. If you're interested in fitness, or interested in the fitness industry, or work in any sort of similar industry, or you're someone who just wants to learn about fitness, this is still what the podcast is about. So it's going to be maybe a wee bit of rant. It's just going to change a wee bit, and I don't know how. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is that hardest geezer running the length of Africa. And the first thing I'm thinking about when I'm watching him is I'm always seizing people up to see what they're actually all about. I'd say I've got a pretty good dickhead radar, and I like this guy, and I don't say that very often. I like him. He's something about the way he looks I like it. Something about the way he speaks, I like it. He sounds a wee bit common. No offence to him, he's not rah-rah, like a lot of people are from down south of England. Is he from Essex or something? I would say he is. But how the fuck has he done that? How on earth has he done that? I would say I push myself a wee bit more than the average person. Well, the average person does absolutely nothing, so that wouldn't be that difficult. But even just the thought of sleeping in different beds, I can't even do hostels. Actually, don't know, she won't like me saying this, but I couldn't eat. I moved in with my girlfriend about 2 or 3 months ago, and I spent the first month not sleeping in the same bed as her, because I couldn't. Because even though she's 5 foot, she somehow managed to angle her body in a way that made me feel like I was going to fall off a double bed. And I just spent all night feeling like I was going to fall off the bed. So I slept in the spare room. Now, if that doesn't get your new part of your relationship off to a fiery start, I don't know what will. And I then made my biggest purchase I've ever made. I spent £1,000 on a bed. Big flex, I know. I'm starting to flex. It's all kicking off for me. I've spent £1,000 on a bed, and my bed is still worth more than my car. So how he's managed to actually go from place to place, that's his biggest accomplishment to me, is sleeping in that many different places. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Also in Africa, I've not done my research too much on this, but mosquitoes are bad there, aren't they? So that must have been difficult for him. The whole mosquito avoiding. You can say challenging format this, because I do talk absolute shite when I allow myself to. But I like him as the main thing, and you just get you obviously have to be mental to do that as well, which is also why I like him more. Like, what has happened to him to make him want to run the length of a country, the country that you're, or the continent, sorry, that you're most likely going to have an altercation in? Like, why not just choose, well, I suppose America, you're just as likely to have something bad happen to you, aren't you? But he done it for charity as well. If I'm doing that, that's the last thing I'm doing it for is charity. That's not going to motivate me. Most charities, the guys that run it are on massive salaries, aren't they? Like, I know I'm a massive skeptic, but that's where my head goes. Like, where I'd be running, going every kilometre, I'd be going, but what if the money's not going to that cause? That's not going to motivate me. I don't know what would motivate me to do that. Maybe just being guaranteed to sleep in a Super King bed, which is what mine is, by the way. Super King from Simba, £1,000, and I slapped it down as well, by the way. I actually wasn't allowed to pay for it through finance because my address didn't match up to my card, and potentially I haven't declared enough tax checks. I've only done one tax return, so I'm probably not going to get a mortgage either. But I slapped down £1,000 onto that bed, and I slapped my big fat ass onto it after. Now, Hardest Geezer, great, well done. Round of applause for Hardest Geezer. I'd love to have that guy on the podcast, however, I don't think he would do it. But he's the type of guy I like. You can see that man has a soul. He obviously has some trauma that is the driving force behind him doing that, which is fine. We all have it. I've, be honest, didn't do enough research to know what Russ, second name of the Cook, is it? Is it Russ Cook? I know you get a memory come up that just comes up from just seeing a screen. Russ Cook. That's a weird name, man. Why not just be called Ross? That's my thoughts there. So the man has a soul. You can see it. He seems nice. He seems genuine. I would say it looks like he has a soul. However, someone who doesn't have a soul and is doing another soulless endeavour. See, before I say this name, do you think you can guess? Just say it in your head right now. Say it in your head who you think I'm going to talk about. Did you say Stephen Bartlett? I think you did, which is great because you would be right. Now, again, very, very under-researched in what this is. I just, as usual, got sent something that I didn't want to see because people keep doing that. If I say I'm scunner and I'm bored of social media and I hate everything that I see people post, right, I feel like I'm losing brain cells every time I open my DMs and someone sent me a reel. That encourages people to keep sending me stuff that they know I'm going to hate. So, got sent Stephen Bartlett's new podcast growth, fucking whatever it is, flight it didn't even make sense. And I know he's a marketing genius, but I had to like do some sort of like it's like a fucking, I don't know, chess game. No, that's wrong. That's not what I was trying to say. I basically had to try figure out what it was. He didn't just come out and go, it's basically a reel. If you go on his Instagram, right, this is where it'll be handy when I figure out the software. I need to like watch it at the same time as I'm talking about it, you know. Right now I'm having to go off memory and explain to you what happened when we could just fucking watch it. But if you go on his Instagram, he's got a reel out showing you that he's launching this new podcast growth service or whatever, and it's called Flight. And I get frustrated talking to people that are like big fans of these guys, right? Because I just don't understand how people don't feel the way I feel. Because when I see Stephen Bartlett, I see eyes, a nose, a mouth, some frizzy hair, a face, a body, but I feel no soul. I feel like he's been created. Like, I feel like he's, what do you call that? When they've pretended that people have came back from the dead. They done it like 50 Cent and they done it with somebody else. They do it with JFK or something. A hologram. I feel like when I look at Stephen Bartlett, he's a hologram. It doesn't feel real. He doesn't feel real. When he speaks, I feel like his brain isn't controlling that. It's like a script that someone else is entering into another part of his body that is then just saying the words. It never feels real. When I watch his podcast, even if he says something really personable, or he says a personal story, I'm like, that didn't happen, did it? Or like, you're not making your face say those words. I feel like everything is orchestrated in a way to just make money or grow the podcast, and that's the only reason for everything. I could be wrong, but I doubt I am, and I reckon the rest of yous are the ones that are wrong. And like, I know I've been cynical about social media over the last couple of months, but does anyone just do something to do the thing anymore? Like, does anyone just like coach clients to coach clients? Or does anyone just do a podcast to do a podcast? Or do we just do things so we can eventually sell how we did things to other people? It feels like the only reason that people try grow on social media is so they can then sell how they grew on social media. And it's the same on, I spoke about last week about how I went down a rabbit hole about like, how will I grow the podcast on YouTube? And I watched a shit ton of videos, right? I almost burnt myself out doing that. And then I watched all these guys giving great advice. And then I looked at all their podcasts, and like from the start, it's just like how to grow a podcast. And like, did they learn how to grow a podcast by making a podcast about how to grow a podcast? What are we doing? What on earth are we doing? When do we learn anything that's like does stuff? When do we learn applicable information and like actually learn like skills again? Like when do we learn how to be like a human that has some value, that isn't just here's how to do something I've never done, give me money for it, of course. At least Stephen Bartlett has grew a podcast, in the ickiest way. Like, if podcast growth was an ick, it's the way Stephen Bartlett's tactics would be it. And like, it's gonna be terrible. Let's be honest. It's not gonna do it. It's not gonna do it for anyone. And it's gonna be well expensive because it's Stephen Bartlett and he's got whatever the biggest podcast in the UK. So, and people are gonna buy it. People are definitely this is why I get annoyed at I just get annoyed at people. I don't actually get annoyed at the sort of the people at the top anymore. I'm now getting more annoyed at the people that believe the people at the top. Like, there's going to be so many people that haven't even like done 10 episodes of a podcast buying this, right? And then they're going to try do what he's done, which they're not going to be able to do because how are they going to get, I don't know, who's been on the pod, how are they going to get Thierry Henry on their podcast that they film in their room? It's not going to happen. As well, like, did I speak about this on pod? So, Stephen Bartlett, I'm almost sure, uses bots as his comments. Like, there's definitely loads of bots in his comments that I'm almost sure they are somehow behind. Now, this could be, I've realised 17 minutes into this podcast or whatever, I'm starting to sound like my mother as in a conspiracy theorist, which is scary, and it's definitely a fear I've had for a number of years since I've had her tell me about people with pink hair follow her about in Sainsbury's and that. So I'm very conscious of going down that route. I feel like if I start doing stuff like that, then I will just embody my mother's tendencies. So please do keep me away from going down those rabbit holes, even though you can't do it because this isn't live. So so the bots, right? I went on his videos as a conspiracy theorist does, trying to look for some way to figure out how this guy's part of the Illuminati. And he has comments that people just wouldn't write. It's like, oh my God, Stephen Bartlett is the greatest creation in the world. 2 years ago, I didn't know what IFS is now, what intermittent fasting is now. And now I know what it is, and I implement it every day, and it saved my life and many others. People don't talk like that. I made that up, but it was like stuff like that. And then whatever guest he would have on it would all follow similar patterns, but it would be about the guest. And then it was like I would read like 20 comments and there would be the same keywords coming in as if it's like an AI thing that's just like, right, use these 20 words and say nice comments and post them. That's what it looks like. It's so sus. It's so sus. And then when Jason Fung went on his podcast, if you don't know who Jason Fung is, he basically is a guy that says he is the creator of intermittent fasting, which isn't a thing. I also don't know if it's one of those as well where he says he never calls himself that, but why did people start calling him that? People wouldn't just go, oh yeah, this guy was the creator. He's probably told people he was and then pretended he never, which is so weird. That's so strange. That's such bizarre behaviour. But on that one, Jason Fung, from anyone with any sort of like critical thinking at all, anyone that can think rationally about anything knows Jason Fung is an absolute shite-meister. So he's really hated in the fitness industry, or I wouldn't say the fitness industry because a lot of the fitness industry are, it's shabby bastards. Anyone that is like a coach and like knows the impact of what these things or what these things have on people because they've coached people that have fell into the traps of the likes of these guys. They've bought their books, started trying to do all these things and ended up close to eating disorders because it's mostly nonsense. Obviously, I've touched on all these things a million times. Today is a different kind of day. We're not going to educate you on why intermittent fasting is good or bad or whatever. But there was no nasty comments about Jason Fung. And by the way, whenever I do a YouTube, like whenever any of my podcast clips do pretty well, do you know what happened? Do you think people are nice to me? Do you think they do well and people compliment me and tell me how I saved their life? No, they're racist. First thing they pick up on, I'm not listening to this Scottish prick. Just see the stark difference, right? People, loads of comments, people don't really have pictures, never uploaded anything, all saying how lovely Stephen is and how lovely his guests are and how they saved their life all the time. And then when I get a comment and I be honest about stuff and actually try to come at things from a rational view, and obviously the last 20 minutes are completely none of those things. But I get abuse. Anyone I know, I've got lots of friends that post on social media, we get abused in the comments most of the time. Even if you've got an audience of people who love you, the ones who comment tend to be the angry ones, tend to be the ones that things aren't going too well for them at the moment, so they take it out usually in comment sections. So even just by the mere fact that most of the comments are extremely positive on like not viral but like well watched videos, it's sus. And I wonder, well, I'm not going to buy it to figure this out, but I wonder if he'll tell people he does stuff like that in his flight thing, because he definitely does. I'm not even really falling into the conspiracy theory trap there. I don't think it. I'm so positive that's what he does. I think they've got a number of hacks that are just AI generated things. I think he's a scam artist. I think he's a very, very, very good scam artist. I think he's got a lot of people by the short and curlies. And I'm not gonna dive into Tim Spector and that Zoe stuff until I can get it up on the screen, because I just want, see what I'm talking about here with people not having souls. Tim Spector comes up every now and again with those adverts for Zoe, and I'm like, how can people not see the soullessness in this guy? It's like, hi, I'm Tim, and I work at Zoe. Zoe is the most science-based, evidence-based nutrition app that does something no app has ever done before. Oh, you think a brown onion and a red onion have the same impact on your gut bacteria? Well, Zoe is here to tell you there is a difference in how our gut microbiome reacts to different foods. And we are all individual. So, buy Zoe. It's only £500. And we're only making it harder for glucose monitors to be available to people who need it, for instance with diabetes, even though you don't need to know how much your glucose spikes after you consume numerous different foods, because it's a normal function of the human body. I'm Tim, and I work for Zoe. Oh shit, I've already said that. Bye. Has anyone seen that advert? Let me know if you have. It's mental, and I'm done feeling so. I'm gonna drink some of this tea actually, and I'll try not slurpy on the mic. I'm done really. Sometimes I toy between having sympathy for people who do this stuff, because on one hand, yeah, I'd done it at one point, so I must have been pretty dumb at one point. I'd done the insanity stuff, but again I was like 14, but again I think I'd done some dumb things when I was like 21, 22 as well. But people do it all their life. People like some people will go like 60 and they're still like got glucose monitors in their arm, like try to see if there's a difference in how much the glucose spikes after a red and green apple. I mean, right, we don't really know much about the gut microbiome. And that seemed quite a difficult thing to say, and that's part of the reason they do this. They try use difficult words that aren't well researched, so you can't go and research it, and you struggle to even pronounce what they're talking about. So you think they're really smart, but actually they're soulless and they just want your money. And I think one of the reasons I'm so cynical with this sort of thing, right, is I've watched my mum fall for every single scam out there. My mum's the first to sign up. My mum actually explained to people that were really interested in scamming people how they could create this new system so it was more efficient, where they could, instead of it being a square, they could change it into a pyramid-like system. And my mum vowed to be the first one to be involved. These sort of scams date back a long, long time. And every time I tell my girlfriend about stuff that, like, just regular things that happened in my childhood, she'll look at me and just go, "That's fucked up." I'm like, I didn't even think that was that weird. So my uncle is on it. Like, he was in that story I just described. My uncle was the person that my mum explained why they should change the shape to a pyramid. That was my uncle. So he was the one. She told him it was a scam, then he scammed her. So this is true, right? All of this is true. My uncle, I won't say his name because it boils my blood. And I actually, like, there's like family drama and all that with it, you know. It's that sort of bad family drama, but not really, because I haven't, like, I don't actually, like, communicate with them. I just know it's a bit fucked up. But he would like openly be like hiring out rooms in, like, Motherwell Civic Centre. If anyone's local, they might know what that is. But it would just be like the local, like the new scam, and he would just hire out one of the rooms, and it would almost, like, I reckon the guy's like done Scientology and all that. It's that bad. But I remember one time he was doing like shakes, and like he would just like gather anyone that had a higher BMI of 25 from Motherwell and surrounding areas. He must have chose Motherwell because he's from Larkhall, and he knows if he done it in Larkhall he would get battered. So he done it like 3 towns across, and he would be selling, like, I can't remember all of them. I'm sure it might have been Herbalife, but it was something similar. It was shakes, and like everyone was coming and going, "Oh my god, I've lost 21 pounds in 3 days. I've been shaking myself the full 3 days. I've been sick between shaking myself. I've been being sick, and it's amazing. It totally works." And then he'd be like doing a review and then getting them in about, and like these things would always be ridiculously priced. It'd be like 200 quid for one of these things. And then my mum would always be involved in it. And then this one winds me up the most. My mum used to come back with these bottles that looked like bottles of wine, and they were dead fancy bottles, right? And I just open the fridge and there'd be one sitting there. It was called nonny juice. And so my mum's, I think before she got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was like maybe 12 or 13, but she was doing this stuff before then just because, I don't know, she was convinced it would help her mental health or whatever the fuck was going on up there. And this nonny juice was honestly, like, I tried it a few times. It was just tasted like out of date blackcurrant juice, like diluting juice. It looked like diluting juice as well. It wasn't even alcohol. At least put alcohol in it, so when they drink it, they get drunk and they're like, fuck, this works. I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel like going out. That would have worked. They should have just sell bottles of wine for ridiculous amounts of money. But they were probably thinking more about the profit margins and went, do you know what? These Tesco's thrown out this out-of-date blackcurrant juice. What we'll do is we'll put on balaclavas. We'll go behind Tesco, and as they throw it in the bin, we'll sit in the bin, and then we'll catch the bottles. We'll put them in a glass bottle, and we'll sell them for 50 quid a pop. And people like my mum will buy them. She will drink it and then convince herself that her flare-ups aren't happening anymore. And she will continue to buy these off of her brother, who only has interest on scamming his siblings. And that'll work for a while until it'll probably have to change names. We'll probably get sued. There'll probably be a court case. And then my uncle will find the next scam. This has been going on for probably 17, 18 years. The last one, because I've obviously tried to, back away from that, because I do think it might one day put me in A&E if I just see something that's just a bit too much for me. But the last time I was up there, they've got a wee device that spins water. For what purpose, I have no idea. That's the question I asked straight away. She was like, look at this. And just started spinning her water. I was like, and if I ever wanted to spin some water, that would do the trick. That'd be pretty good for me. So I'll let you know if I ever do one day want to spin water. And she was like, this changes the energy of the water. And I'd be like, yeah, nice. What energy was it before? And what energy is it after? It's just like carbons. Carbons. And I was like, right, so now we've got carbons. What do they do? And she's like, it just helps my arthritis. Nice. And then this is. I'll just drink that because I'll spit this out if I don't say this. So we got the carbons, we're fixing the arthritis. And I just go, the wrong question, by the way. It's never the right question. How much dollar bills? Hit me, mother. Like, I'm going to get angry no matter what you pay for this, but like, I've got a tolerance level, and you're not going to hit that. £350. £350 to get a fucking thing that looks like, those mini fans that you get that just hits your face and does absolutely nothing. It looks like that, but it's got a red beam coming out the bottom of it or something. Like there's a laser for some. The laser obviously does something to people's heads where they go laser. It's not just a spinny water device. It's a laser pen at the same time, because they do something with, like, they point the laser in the water and they're, not only carbons, we've got atoms as well, and we didn't have them before we had this device. It's now like, so 350 quid for that, right? Lost my mind at that. And silly question, right? Another silly question, never asked this. I go, oh, well, actually, she never gave me the right answer, so it was all right at the time. I went, why? Why did you buy this? And she goes, it's Facebook. Facebook, about really good guys, the Facebookers. Legit, this is what she's always, this is legit, this is science. This is new groundbreaking science. And she'll always say stuff like that to me. I'm like, cool. And then I go on Facebook, like completely unrelated, I've just, my brain's just stopped thinking. I've went on Facebook. The uncle, big post, how he had this unsolvable problem with his ankle. Big picture of it saying he was a cyclist and he's not been able to cycle. I don't even know if he did cycle. I don't remember him cycling, but apparently he was now a cyclist. And his big picture is before and after of his foot. One foot bigger than the other. I don't even think they really look like they were the same colour of skin. So probably just two random feet that he's found on Google. But big story about how he's been going back and forth to the doctors. Doctors don't know how to help him. They think his foot's going to have to get amputated until he found spinny water. Until he found the spinny water device. Cleared up, changed races in the space of 3 hours. He went from having a swollen white British male foot that needs to be amputated to a wee, tiny Chinese man's foot. Really unbelievable stuff, to be perfectly honest. I would pay 350 quid to change my feet, Chinese feet, 100%, absolutely. If I can, let me know. If anyone knows where that service is available, I will absolutely double down on that, 700 quid. Or I'll slap £1,000 onto that. I can sign me up. We Chinese ones, preferably. And I seen that. I was like, 15 years later. The man never fails. The man is the most relentless scam artist on the planet. How does he actually do it? It's such a skill. Like, how does he find these new things and manage to sell it to his sister over and over and over again? He has like a 100% track record. He's never failed. And then, I don't know, do you want to hear another one? We're too late into this now, aren't we? I suppose. I mean, I don't know how you think this is going. I think it's going well. I think if I get a good setup doing this is what I'll do. This is quite entertaining. I'm making myself laugh. I'm having a good time. I'm talking to the audience. We're interacting. I don't know. I think this is going quite well. I think this might be my new thing. Yeah, so the other... I might have touched on this, but I didn't. I think I've been trying to not really fully go into who I am as a person, because sometimes it can be a bit too much for people to know. And sometimes, like, my missus has started to realise this. She was like, she's weird, right? She's weird. She's a weird girl. She's really strange. And, like, I would be like, tell her, watch, I'm just letting you know I'm a bit strange. I do some strange things. But I was more talking about just, like, little things that I do. Like, I'll brush my teeth, but I'll walk all into every single room, kitchen and that, whilst I brush my teeth, just like, letting her ease into me being a bit weird. And then she went, no, you're normal. And I was like, okay. I'll just see if you say that in 4 months. And she started to go, you're a freak. I was like, yep. Took you long enough to realise that. Now you're in too deep and we live together. Well, anyway, my mum, right, this one's... See, the problem with this one is I lost the money. It was 350 quid again. Why is that the bottom? They must have figured out, like, the optimal profit margin for these things, because if it's dead cheap, then they'll think it's a scam. And if it's dead expensive, a lot of these people are skint, so they're not going to buy it. So 350 quid seems to be the ballpark for these things. So I mean, when I was stuck, I have done a lot of things to try help my mum, and it's never went well, right? Well, this one actually went quite well. But she was showing me how there's new therapy out there called tapping therapy. And to be honest with you, I actually Googled it recently. And from knowing stuff, like doing research into EMDR therapy and that, this one might. Oh, right. The reason I'm gonna say I'm just overthinking things, right? Because it was 350 quid, £350, right? To go on Zoom with a lady in her 60s who says, "Oh my God, why did I even?" See, this is the trap we can fall in, ladies and gentlemen. I nearly fell into myself, so it's careful. You just need to be careful with these things, but constantly asking yourself, "Am I being dumb? Am I being dumb? Do you know? Am I overthinking things? Am I falling into the trap?" You need to be out, because we're all idiots, right? So 350 quid. You go on Zoom with a 6-year-old woman, American woman in her 60s. You go on Zoom. She gets you to grab some pebbles. Straight, I don't know where you get. Tapping therapy, stones or pebbles. I tried to make sure she told me as little information as possible so that I could continue to live my life after hearing about it. But you grab some stones or some pebbles. Don't know if you have to go and buy them yourself or they send them out to you, or like you get told where you can go and get them. But you go on Zoom, and then you just, like, wherever you're sore, you just say jubbly boobly, huggly boo, matter a few healing sentences, and wherever you're sore, you just tap it. So my mum's sore shoulders due to the arthritis, which I feel like I have to disclose is cause of the arthritis, which is horrendous, right? That's why it's also so hard, and which is why I went, do you know what? If there's a placebo effect from this for a month, I got it for her Christmas. I was like, do you know what? She gets a placebo effect for a month, I'll give her the money for it. And she'd been talking about doing it for months. She couldn't afford it. So tap, tap, tap. Arthritis, no more. Cured. Autoimmune disease, gone. Doesn't exist anymore. It's finished. Tap, tap, taparoo, hoogly boogly, doogly boo. And then this video goes on YouTube. So you can see reviews and stuff of it, and you can get. So my mum comes after, and she's like, "I'm so thankful you gave me the money for that." I'm like, "Cool, don't tell me about it." But I'm glad it went well. I was like, "Was she nice?" She's like, "She's lovely. She is also into it." And I was like, No, she's lovely. That's good. Lovely woman. Lovely pebble woman. Lovely pebble woman who's going to have a great time with my 350 quid. Buying more pebbles, whatever she does with them. Probably just throws them up and goes, does we dance or something, goes oogly boogly boo. But that was the sorest one, I think. That was hands down the sorest one, and I still have traumatizing memories about that one, actually. And she asked me if I wanted to sit down and watch the YouTube video with her, and I thankfully got out of that one. There was one or two other yeah. Do you know what? We're just going to stay down this cynical route. We're just going to continue to annoy my brain, because there's stuff here that's more serious, and I can't be arsed talking about the serious stuff. So we shall take the next topic on the hit list. Eddie Abu. Eddie Abu's coming back on the podcast. We're not going to show a picture of him or anything, because we're just not doing it like that at the moment. But I'm slowly starting to see who else doesn't have a soul, and like, you know, whatever you want to call it, the famous sort of space. Because I've no, so even if I just look at the followed by bit on Instagram of Eddie Abu, it makes me physically ill. Lots of fitness folk, I don't know if they believe. What I've realised, by the way, as well, is like, just because people work in the fitness industry doesn't mean they're not just as dumb as the people they try slag. And like I said, we're all dumb. I nearly thought that my mum didn't get scammed, or I didn't get scammed for giving that money. Like, I nearly fell in it because I looked it up and there was like some maybe evidence to support it, but then forgot what actually happened and what the women told would happen, what the women told my mum would happen. And just to let you know, my mum still has rheumatoid arthritis and still schizophrenic, so, or well, I think it's schizophrenia anyway. I always say that. I always have to, people always tell me you can't say she's schizophrenic unless you know, right? But, and also I agree with them, because there's other different things you don't ever really know, right? But see, when anyone talks about their schizophrenic family member and says the things they do, I'm just like, yeah, it's the same things. But right, so Eddie Abu's somehow managed to like now be working with Gemma Collins and Eddie Hall, right? Now, obviously, had whatever you want to call it, respect for Eddie Hall because he's a unit. But these people are just like, yeah, like people are watching what he's doing now. People maybe haven't heard about me in a while. Let's just go hang about with this guy, so people will watch people will talk about me again. Like, Eddie Abu's not doing anything. He just goes in and like looks at the back of food. Then the reason he says this is shit is because he wants to slag off the ingredients on the back, but he can't pronounce them. So he just goes, mullet shite. And then he goes, artificial sweeteners, which are shit. Because he can't actually say it. He doesn't know what any of it is. He doesn't know the reason for it being in the food. He just looks at words he can't pronounce and presumes bad. And lots of people in the fitness industry are also following him. But I was disappointed to see Eddie on there. Even though I don't really care about Eddie Hall. Like, I also would like to say, I don't want to be too cynical about Eddie Hall because he's a big man. You know, big man. I'm not so big. Challenging problem right there if that ever arises. But they just made videos together that don't serve any purpose. Eddie Hall just like impersonated Eddie Abu. And I was like, that's funny. Funny. That's Eddie and Eddie. Eddie's pretending to be Eddie. And Eddie's there watching him pretending to be Eddie. Funny. That's fucking funny. That's good gear, that's good gear. Which both of us also like. And then the Gemma Collins one. Now, I nearly had a fallout with one of my exes because, well, we had many a fallout. But Gemma Collins, before Ozempic came out, was doing his weight. I think it actually was a similar idea, but it was obviously a private company, so it was weight loss injections, but they were for diabetics. So I can't remember what it was, but it was something along those lines. So it was maybe diabetic injections before basically medical companies and like the NHS and stuff were going to say that you were going to be able to get them a prescription. It was like a private company. So Gemma Collins promoting these were affiliate link, etc. Not giving a single fuck about the impact of any of these things, not even knowing what it is. Probably she's like, £100,000 just for me to inject this in my bum and say that I lost weight. Okay, fine. Come on, give me my 100. Give me my 100. So she does that, and I was just like, I'd done it less in a humorous way back then. I was actually just like, fuck this bitch. And I slagged it a bit. And my ex was like, don't you ever slag Gemma Collins, which apparently a lot of people feel like, which I don't understand myself. I can't see what. I've realised I have different eyeballs to people. I just see her and go, what purpose does she serve to anyone? She just wants people like her for, she'll just do anything to be on your screen and make money. Like, she'll literally do anything. She's funny. I would disagree. So she fell out with me for that, which was obviously the relationship was doomed from then. That was the turning point for us. Actually, the other turning point was when she didn't know who Billy Connolly was, and she tried to say it. She was like, "You're just being Scottish and thinking English people should know Scottish things," which was hard to hear. Because it also made me question if that's what I was doing, which I wasn't. Why are you still thinking that's what I was doing? I wasn't doing that. Billy Connolly. How could you not know who Billy Connolly is? That's like going, like the Queen. What? She's dead. King. Oh, you don't know who the King is because you're Scottish, and like the King's an English thing. Actually, that's a whole political thing in itself that we shouldn't get into. King's apparently our king. I would say my king's Henry Larson. So don't know. We'll not go down that route, right? So this is what I've been trying to tell people as well about, like, when I grew on social media. Like, I genuinely maybe I should do this one time. I could go in a supermarket right now and just start. Food's actually been done quite a lot, so like just going down processed food aisles and shouting about food might actually not bang as much. But I could go down and just start. I don't know, what would I do? I would maybe go into like Sports Direct and like pick up shoes and just be like telling you about how these are destroying your feet. And to make it like more bizarre, I would just go in with like bright red Converse that are like 5 sizes too big for me, and just every single video I would just talk about how these were the perfect shoe. Like, such simple designs, really good on the sole of your foot, really good, like they protect your toes, the wee white bit, and almost like as good as the wee white bit is almost as protective as steel toe caps. So like these are your wearables for anything. You can run in these, you can swim in these. They're also waterproof. And like if you want to go into a construction site and wear these red Converse, perfect, because almost steel toe caps as well. And I think I would get millions of views doing that, and eventually I would get people to believe me, because people are fucking idiots. And that's pretty much what Eddie Abu's doing. And people I know believe him. And instead of getting annoyed about it anymore, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to talk about it, say how I feel about it. And if you want to believe him, cool. I might just start trying what all of these guys do. And I think I might start with that idea. That was quite good, actually. That was a good one, I think. See if you just like go in there and like do something mental, and just like if I just started like going up to the shopping assistants and all that, and like forcing like fucking rugby tackling them and taking off their shoes and shouting in their face, these are plastic fucking shite cloggers. I was like, these are picking up all the dust off the floor, and that dust is then coming up in your face and it's going up your nostrils. It's poisoning you from the outside in, all because you still have flat soles like these red Converses. It's like, it's despicable that you work in this shop and you know this. You're selling it to the public when you also have these red Converse for 60 quid. They're cheaper as well, and you could all be not poisoning yourself. I think it would work, and I think it might be something I will do in the future. I've lost all respect for anyone that thinks Eddie Abu is doing a good thing. There's going to be... So it's annoying because you can't actually... you can't like statistically prove how toxic something is, but the amount of eating disorders that are going to come out from this man's content is going to be ridiculous. It's going to be an epidemic. Well, it probably isn't, because there's just, do you know what? These people just, the name and the face changes every year. Like, it's the exact same stuff as the Liver King. And like, people fall for it still over and over and over again. See, I haven't seen my mum in a year. I reckon if I went to my mum's house, just walked in the front door, didn't give her a warning that I was going to be there, because sometimes she knows my personality a wee bit. I'd go in there, my mum would just be praying to a shrine of Eddie Abu right now. She'll have seen him. She'll have seen him and she'll believe him. And then in like 6 months' time, she'll be like, by the way, he's just like the rest of them. And I'll be like, he's just like the rest of who? And she'll be like, pedos. That's what most, you won't really get in the limelight for too long without my mum working out you're a pedo and telling everyone about it. That's the kind of things my missus has been saying is weird. Like that my mum would be telling me about how like George Bush was a pedo when I was like 12. She'd be like, you know, that's weird. And I'm like, in a sympathetic way, she'll say it. She'll be like, you know, that's like not normal. And I'm like, was she wrong though? Was she wrong, or was she just educating me, Rifa? Was she actually just warning me for what the world's like? Pedo rings and islands. She might be right. Anyway, I think we'll call it there. And just to let you know, if anyone has any input on how this podcast went, because I realise I have just absolutely shook the water there. I've definitely, I think I just went in a trance for an hour. So if anyone has any feedback on whatever the fuck that was, you can let me know on Instagram DMs. I've not really got very good strategies for interacting with the people that listen to this, but I would like to know what people think of that fucking monstrosity, whatever that was. So do let me know. I know there's a good like 300 or 400 people that are listening every week. So 400 of you just had that into your ear holes or inside earphones, which is even more worrying, or in your car. So do let me know if that was terrifying or not, or if it's something you want to listen in the future. I'm still going to do it, I think, anyway, because it's much more fun than me actually trying to just like, that was more fun. I enjoyed that. So see you in the next week. And if you haven't rated the episode or the podcast, please do on Spotify. Catch you in a bit. See you later, and let's not talk about this.